I am with Tommy D, also known as Tommy Dorfman. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you very much for having me on. Much appreciated.
I'm glad to have you on. So let's get started at the beginning. How did a kid from New Jersey find themselves behind the decks, DJing in front of a crowd?
Myself, I actually kind of unique story. Well, actually not really unique. It's very much of EDM promoters like myself, how we got into the business. I lived on my own around like 16 years old. So to survive, I rented houses. And
Okay.
I used to throw out underground house parties. So I'd have my friends DJ. We
Yeah.
pack it out with over time hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Um, Crazy stories on those ones. And that's how I actually got into the music scene. First, starting off from house parties and then bringing it into old school clubs like the Tunnel and Carbon, just starting off from nothing and then growing it.
Awesome. So obviously DJing, it isn't just music, it's storytelling. How do you decide what journey you want to take the crowd on?
Was it a DJ as a promoter?
Okay. So as a promoter, how do you decide who you want in, really? Like, do you get a say in the story, or is it really just up to the DJs where they take the vibe?
Um, well, different DJs, different places, different things. You make the choice on the DJ you're booking.
Hmm.
So a lot of times you're gonna have a conversation with the DJ and tell them like this is the music we need for the event.
Hmm.
If they're cool with it, we work together. I had a great relationship with the DJs for over 15 years. And on their creativity though, I would never get involved in their creativity. If they're coming out with their new tracks, their new mixes, listen, be creative. Creative is what creates business. It's good for economics. It's good for the scene, which it was, not anymore from Live Nation. But and that's something I did. So I let the DJs really do their thing on the creativity. But if it was a house party, house music, if it was mashups, mashups, and the DJs always respected that, and I had a great relationship.
Awesome. So from from the from those days, I guess, what's like the wildest, funniest, most memorable moment you kind of had?
From which one? Going back to my house parties, or
Yeah, we'll start with house parties and we'll work our way through.
well, I guess on the house parties, there was a lot because if you're doing
Imagine.
underage house parties, and I was underage doing them.
Yeah.
Um, I had a huge house party. I set people up with we had little microphones, like
Mm.
little walkie-talkies to check when the police were coming because they're all underage, including myself.
Yeah.
That's how I survived. And I guess one of the wild stories was in West Milford, New Jersey,
Mm.
my hometown. And the police came and we put all stuffed all the underage people, about 300 of them, in the attic. And when the police were in the house, unfortunately, the attic collapsed and people all fell on the police. Nobody was hurt, which was great. But that's why it was nice after time to advance on to get into real business. That was
So
survival
obviously,
mode.
yeah, yeah, you gotta survive at that age.
Yeah,
So
that was just to
running,
eat, and
yeah,
survive.
no, I can imagine. So running Juice Entertainment, what's been the most exciting part about that? What keeps it going?
Well, Juice Entertainment is now just a shell company just fighting Live Nation for 15 years in federal court. Live Nation wiped out my whole entire business in 2011. So there's been no business. What keeps
Okay.
me going is at this day and age is what Live Nation's done to the scene. They ruined the independent scene for all the independent promoters. They've ruined it for the artist development, and most importantly, they've ruined the scene for the fans where they made it unaffordable to go to events. And they've killed the whole club scene. They killed the industry. There's no, if you look at it, there's no live entertainment industry. It's a Live Nation industry. That's it.
So from your perspective, what's been the biggest challenge in facing sort of people coming through the industry, promoters like yourself, in the live music world? Like obviously you said Live Nations destroyed it, crushed it. So what's the biggest challenge that you faced with Live Nation coming up and where you were?
So if you want the challenge just with Live Nation, to answer that question first, and then if you want to circle back, I didn't know who Live Nation was. So I did business for 15
Okay.
years. I built a club empire from what I told you from the house parties over time. I built it up and ran every major. I was a pioneer of the EDM industry when it wasn't cool, called house music out of New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
I ran almost every major club, New York, New Jersey, Miami. I opened the club. I won the #1 sound system in the world. Live Nation
So
never
man.
got in my way. Never met them. They did rock and roll.
Mhm.
I didn't even talk to them. I could care less. They didn't talk to me. They wanted, when they
Mhm.
found about my festival, massive EDM festival, when it was becoming mainstream, that's
Mhm.
when they wanted it and they came and wiped me out. So I had no problem with Live Nation until I was ahead of the game with the electronic dance music, house music, going to EDM. So my friends always ask me, why did Live Nation want it? Because it went mainstream. It was the hottest thing back then, 2011. I was ahead of the game. I saw what was going to happen. And I went to get to the big stage, bigger scene because I outgrew where I could grow in the club world and plateaued. And when I went to the festival industry, Live Nation, they wanted it, and that's why they wiped me out with it. So that's really my interactions with Live Nation. Is just here before, never even met them, didn't care.
So we'll circle back to obviously that's the main part of this. But what is for new artists and people coming through and try to find themselves and discover their sound as a promoter, what do you see the biggest challenge in that world being?
In the current times right now or back in the day?
We'll go for both. We'll go for both. We'll see what's changed.
So from back in the day, as a new promoter, as myself, when I first got in the scene and
Mhm.
had no name, I was nobody. Had to build it. So the hardest part was actually just finding a club if you were a nobody like me to give you a shot. So I had to
Okay.
find like a Wednesday night party. So it was harder to get in the it's harder to get in the door because you had no name.
Mm.
But there was doors to open. I was able to get indoors. I was able to create a huge empire and create a lot of success. Not just me, a lot of other independent promoters. Artists, there was tons of artist development back then. These artists were getting developed all the time. The scene was vibrant. Now, you fast forward to Live Nation years, um, there's no opportunity for independent promoters. There is very limited unless you want to be acquired or hired by Live Nation, not like me. And for artists, you either have to be live work, you have to bow to the ring of Live Nation and take an event where you're probably going to lose money on,
Mm.
just for them to make money to actually be able to perform. And you got to take terrible deals and you have to rip off fans and you have no choice because now there's not, back then there were so many different promoters. You could pick and choose, or the artist could pick and choose where they wanted to perform, what promoter they want to perform for, better cost, better production. Now there is only one. There's only one now, and it's Live Nation.
So I've not spoken to many musicians about the Live Nation situation, but there's a few comedian friends that I've got who have spoke about it that just exactly what you're saying, that they've been on social media, they've been talking about it, and they're saying like they don't set the prices. And the prices are through the roof. I looked at tickets for something and it was £200 or £300, and the artists themselves was saying, I don't know why. I've tried to keep them costs as low as possible. And I do have a friend who they're trying to do big tours, big stadiums, and they're trying to sell tickets themselves because they just don't see the point. They don't see the cost. And they have spoke out to some degree about sort of Live Nation ticketing and the way the world's going. And just like what you're saying, it needs to go back to independent. It's far more of a fair game then.
Yeah, absolutely. That it was a fair game. There was competition and it thrived. Right now, um, many aren't going to speak out. If they do, very quietly, because if they spoke out as much as me, I'm pretty sure they're not putting on a show in one of the Live Nation
Yeah.
stadiums if they actually say how they feel. Yeah, and I've seen it both ways where the artist sets the prices and then where Live Nation sets the prices, but also Live Nation forces the artist, and I don't blame the artist, to increase their prices
Yeah.
because through my case and through my expert, Dr. Richard Barnett, information we obtain, Live Nation increases the expenses for the events without the artist, co-promoter, agent knowing, then in a term for getting a higher rebate. And then the artist, in exchange, it gets passed through directly to the fans. The artists end up losing money on the shows because their costs are getting, I allege, illegally inflated. And now, if you're the artist, if you are controlling the prices, what are you going to do? If you lose money, I'm raising my tickets. I don't blame the artists. The artists are just basically at the mercy of the mafia of Live Nation, and they have no say. And it's like a mob run community. Like I say, if you can't do anything else besides bow to what they tell you, or no show for you. That's how it works. Unfortunately, that's where it's become.
So your lawsuit, as you said, has been going over for 15 years. What sparked the fight in the first place? Obviously, I understand that they came in and took the festival, but a lot of people would have, as you said, bowed down to it. So what sparked this courage to fight it?
What sparked what they did to me, or the courage to continue to fight?
The courage to continue to fight.
Well, the courage to continue to fight at first. I'm a person. My dad taught me at a young age. Don't you never, if you're in the right, don't back down. I could have took a deal from Live Nation, partner with them as their CEO at the time, said acquire or hire all the EDM promoters because he was afraid Mike Rapino, they were going to get the lesser known properties like me. We're going to lock up real estate like I did the Meadowlands. So in the US, home of a brand new stadium of the Jets and the Giants. And I was that promoter. So that was end of the day, they wiped me out, jumping right in there. And then just following back with your question.
Yeah. So what sparked, like I'm saying, what sparked you keeping going 15 years on?
Cool. So at first it was just so you know, it was an economic dispute.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my whole career. I ended up going homeless from this. Lost my
Right.
whole entire business. I go door to door selling cable to fund the
Mm-hmm.
litigation. I wanted my career back.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to pay me, but I wanted them to pay me so I could get a career back. I wanted my festival back. I wanted that 10-year contract I had with the Meadowlands, State Fair Meadowlands back in place, and I wanted my career. My reputation was ruined. I allege I will prove it at trial by them. So at first, that's what I expected. However, I have their top executives, president of their, as they claim, their biggest market in the United States, New York City, on tape recording confessing to this. And I might have been naive, but I thought the information just from my tape recordings that they were going to apologize, give me my festival back, give me some money to get back on my feet. That's what I thought. That didn't happen. Might have been a lie naive. As time passed, and over the years, the information that I've seen is just so disgusting on how Live Nation runs their business and what it does to the scene, killing the independent promoters, forcing the artists to be at the mercy of them, and more importantly, the fans. The information I have, and I believe nobody else has it, it shows why the ever increasing ticket prices, ever increasing. You fans are choice, parents have a choice. They send their kid to a concert and let's miss our rent this month and be a month behind. Not make a car payment, skip electricity bill because it's so expensive. And that's now why I continue to fight. Now, to me, I feel like I have a moral obligation with the information I have to continue for the fans and for the scene as a whole. That's what only thing that motivates me to fight. And I got kids, and one of my kids 11-year-old wants to get into the industry, and I told him you can't get in the industry right now. You didn't have the opportunity I had. Go to college. I didn't go to college, but now I'm gonna send you to college. You can't go up against Live Nation. You have no choice. You won't win. I said, unless something happens, your dad continues with this and gets a jury trial finally, and information comes out, and company gets shut down, then you got a chance. But that's what continues because other people got kids too. And obviously, and they're end of the day, they're just ripping people off every single day, which I allege is just a major just racket, simple scheme of how they're just ripping money off, stealing it from the artists, stealing it from the independent promoters, I allege, and intend to prove a trial, and taking it out of all the fans' pockets and just want ever increasing ticket prices, and now they want to raise it more. So it's that's my motivation to continue. It's not I'm just one early victim of the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger. I'm the early victim that's actually willing to speak. And I don't blame people for not speaking. I get it. And now at this point, I'm hoping to make change that will help the scene and help ordinary people going to concerts, including my kids, I would have to pay for theirs, and yours or anybody else's. That's why I continue.
So obviously,
Otherwise, I would have thrown in the towel a long time ago.
yeah, that's totally understandable. You made some pretty big statements. Obviously, making the mafia look like a gentleman. You've referenced the mafia a few times now. Can you tell us a bit more what's meant by that? Obviously, I understand the mafia aspect of like
Absolutely.
consuming
So I,
everything.
I I grew up in New Jersey,
Yeah.
and I was in the club world from New Jersey.
Mhm.
So in New Jersey, you had to deal with the mafia all the time as a promoter.
Yeah.
The mafia wanted money from me all the time. I didn't pay the mafia. The mafia threatened to kill me many times. I didn't pay the mafia. But you know what? The mafia still let me do business. That's why I said Live Nation makes the mafia look like gentlemen or saints, because the mob still let me do business without paying them. Live Nation, in just a click of a button, when I refused to partner with them or refused to give them my EDM festival, they just wiped me out. So they're just way more powerful than the mafia, way more powerful than the mafia, you know? And then look, with the mafia, there's like 5 families in New York. At least there's competition. They can compete with each other. You know, I know it's weaker now, but with Live Nation, there's only one Live Nation, which I allege is the Live Nation crime family run by the Godfather, Michael Rapino. So there's only one family. So there's no competition.
So, for people who might not have heard your story, how would you sum up the biggest problem with the sort of Ticketmaster Live Nation merger? Obviously, we spoke about the escalating prices, but what would be the resolve?
So the biggest problem with it is when Live Nation and Ticketmaster merged, and I didn't even know, if you don't know my story, when they first came and threatened to block all my tickets, I didn't even know they merged with Ticketmaster. I was like, how are you gonna block Ticketmaster for me? I already done tickets with them when their executives were threatening me, and I didn't accept their threat, and that's why I got wiped out. But to answer your question, to go back with that and circle it to Ticketmaster and Live Nation, they say they're separate entities. DOJ suing them, FTC suing them now. They're one. Information I've seen, they're all one. They control all the data, they control everything. And the rebate scheme that I talked about, how they extort money, I allege, from the venues to increase all expenses, ripping everybody off from the independent promoters, artists, and then pass through the fans. It could not be done without Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster is like the mob enforcer that comes in because they control the data and they control the money. If you don't pay us this show, we're getting it next show. So everything's controlled through Ticketmaster. They couldn't operate this, what I allege, illegal rebate scheme without Ticketmaster being their enforcer. And there's no competition for anyone. Let's be realistic. There is only one ticket company. It's Ticketmaster. Yeah. Find me a worldwide tour. You don't need Live Nation and Ticketmaster. Good luck. A major stadium tour. So there's only one, and they operate right together. And they say it's separate. That's a lie.
I'll be honest. The naivety to this, I knew about both of them. I didn't know they were together. I knew there was some sort of working together, but I didn't know they were the same entity. But you're right.
Live Nation owns Ticketmaster. And they try to, as I said to the U.S. Senate, which isn't working so good now, we're separate, far away. They're right hand in hand, and they're controlling everything from the data to the events, and then working together, which I led through the rebate scheme. And it's just a simple racket. It's really, people aren't smart. These people are just gangsters in suits. They're not smart. And but it works, you know, simple rackets work. And you know what? They're winning. They're ripping off all the fans and they're stuffing their pockets and ripping and screwing everybody else over, except their board of directors and investors.
So you've talked, as you just said there, about the rebate scheme. Can you explain a bit about how this affects the fans and artists directly? Like, obviously, I know it puts more money in the board's pocket, but down to a fan level who's hearing the story for the first time, what's their direct effect apart from just more prices?
Well, direct prices are huge. So it's really simple. If you're, from the information I received, and I led you prove a trial, and my expert, Dr. Richard Barnett, he's the leading expert in the world who anybody can take a look at his report. It confirms everything that I'm saying right now. I have the receipts to back it up. It shows that Live Nation increases the cost of expenses out of an event, breaking the fiduciary responsibility with the artist, the independent promoter at this time, who they have deals with. They get the prices raised for let's just say security, rent. In return, Live Nation gets a kickback back from the venue directly at a higher volume, directly negotiated for the increased expenses. So if you're the promoter, you're the artist, you're going to get hit with, instead of $70,000 insurance, just for analogy, rent, it goes up to 100. But meanwhile, Live
Right.
Nation, instead of taking $10 I had back, it's going to go up to 15. So when you're this gets passed on directly through the fan, because what happens is, now I've seen thousands
Mhm.
of information of events where you're the independent promoter and you're in the red. You're the artist, you're in the red. Now all this money that gets kicked back by this simple rebate scheme, that rips everybody off, they now, Live Nation on the back end, all these events making money, making money, making money. So if how it directly affects it, if you're the artist or a co-promoter with them and you lose money on shows, that Live Nation's making so much money where they're artificially increasing expenses for higher rebates, what do you do your next show? I'm
Yeah.
raising my tickets. I'm raising my ticket price up. So people blame the artist with that actually raise the ticket price up. I don't. How do you do it?
Mhm.
You know, if you've only made $50 on the show, or you're in the negative, you're going to be out of business. So they force the tickets to go up higher, and then this gets directly passed on to the fans on how much you pay for a concert ticket by Live Nation's full power and control. No one else's.
So the friend I previously mentioned had spoke about that. Like he has done a few events and he's seen what tickets are selling for. This is why he spoke out about it. And then he's seen what he's not made. He actually lost money, and he couldn't work out where it went because he knows how many people came to the venue. He knows how many seats he sold. He knows what a ticket cost, and he lost money. And he's saying, "Well, where's it gone?" And he spoke to Live Nation. The Live Nation were like, "Oh, there was costs, there was expenses, there was paying staff for security, there was all these sorts of things." And so he's now trying to sell tickets through his own website, and he's talking about all the issues he's having. And it is who runs the ticket owning a website that can deal with this, because they're doing a venue in Liverpool, and I think there's almost 20,000 seats. Now, to run something with having 20,000 people buying tickets, it's a lot of work. And
A lot
they've
of work.
almost said, yeah, they've said they're almost not making money again, trying to go the other way. So, on the note of that, obviously you talk about changing the industry. What's the big picture you hope to see? Like, if you can have, I know you want to go to court, have a jury trial, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So, do you think, for
I'm getting
instance,
close.
yeah, do you think, for instance, if all artists said, right, we're not going to go Live Nation, we're going to try and do it ourselves, do you think that would make the change? Or do you think
I
there's not enough?
wish, I
Think,
wish,
yeah,
but it's not going to happen because people ask me this all the time. Oh, well, the artists getting ripped off. Why did they do it? Well, look at your friend right there. You might
yeah,
have lost that one, but if this is what you do for a living, would you rather make $100 or make zero?
yeah,
So at
yeah.
the end of the day, Live Nation controls who
Mhm,
makes money. They pick and choose.
mhm.
You're going to make no money or you're going to make money. The way they run their scheme, it's just a simple racket scheme. They control it all. So I can't blame the artists. And what are the artists going to do? All say we're not going to perform for Live Nation, and then all be out of business and be broke or end up homeless like myself. I did at a
Mhm.
time. I would never ask anybody to do that. How could fans protest it? People like, I went back, my mom, and they go, oh, protest Live Nation, and just drop your suit, protest them. You've been battling so many years. You can't. Why? Because it will, entertainment business is society. I have kids. What are you going to tell you? What are you going to tell your kids? Can't go to a sporting event. Can't go to Disney on Ice. Can't go to any
Yeah,
concert. My little 6-year-old, he supports me. He's awesome. He sees a thing for SummerSlam, and it was out of New Jersey last summer.
yeah.
And he's like, oh, it says Ticketmaster produced, Daddy. That's the bad, evil guy. We can't go there. I was like, I'm going to take you to the wrestling because you're not going to be locked out of society. So a protest, it won't work. They control it all. So what would work? They should, number one, I'm calling for a complete shutdown of Live Nation. From the information I believe their business model is running and I intend to prove, at a legal massive $1 billion scheme. Nothing more than a simple racket that makes the mob look smart with it. but they're getting away with it. If not, I would call for you split it up into as many pieces. They own everything from the hot dog man to you name it. I don't know one thing they don't own. Split it into a million different pieces. You can chop that thing up as much as you can. So independents can thrive again. Artists and people like your friends can actually make money. They can pick and choose. Hey, who do I want to put an artist? How nice would it be if I had 10 different promoters and I could pick from who has better production, who has better quality, and who has a better price?
Yeah.
So then they can choose. And guess what? If they get a better price, what are they going to do? I don't have to increase my ticket prices. I can lower my ticket prices, make my fans happy, and do more shows. Look, how many shows can fans even really go to? You pay $1,000 for a ticket. That's why I killed the club scenes. Pay $1,000 for a ticket, or the extortionate fees for festivals, for nosebleeds. How many things you can go to? They killed the whole industry. They killed the whole scene.
So there's two things that I want to circle back on there. One was they control the industry. So there's a few people that I've spoken to, and there's something kind of working in the background in the UK at least. And again, it's probably happening in America too. That the industry is controlled by 2 or 3 bodies. And it's going from comedians, actors, musicians, and it's who gets played. Because there's loads of actors and comedians, not to name names, who you would never pick in a lineup. But they're always pushed in front of the TV. They're always the presenter of the show. And it's like you said, they decide who makes the money. It's the ones that have agreed and said yes. Which I do find a really interesting point there. I never thought about the people that sell the tickets too being a part of the hierarchy that decide. And the other thing is
absolutely. And I think I saw something recently in the UK where I believe it was an independent festival promoters organization had came up and asked for Live Nation and Ticketmaster to be split up because they monopolized that. It looks like in your country as well. I dealt with some stuff in Australia, the same thing. It looks like this is a worldwide thing. This isn't just America thing. And the bigger they get, countries they're not even in yet, they're going to do the exact same thing to the fans and the promoters and everybody else there. They won't stop. It's just corporate greed.
So I do know in Australia, I've got quite a few friends there, that there's a big push for the independent scene. So it's nice that they are still fighting the fight as well. In the UK, it's difficult because there's 2 things, and circling back to what you said, we have a big issue in the UK, and it's only been the last sort of couple of years. Ticketmaster's brought out dynamic pricing. The more interest in the tickets, the more expensive the tickets. So we had wrestling here near myself in Glasgow, and I loved it. I went the year before. I think I spent less than £100 on 2 tickets. I thought, I'll go again this year. Me and my family looked at it. The cheapest ticket was £280. So I think that's like almost $350. That's in the nosebleeds. It's the furthest possible away seat. And we can look up where the seat is and how the view is. It pretty much actively says you can't see the stage, you need to watch the Jumbotron. And I thought, why am I going to pay $350 for a ticket that I can't see?
And you probably waited on queue for 20 hours to get that thing where they just said, hey, raising. I was on the ABC documentary, Four Corners with Australia. And before the documentary, the minister of Australia said, the journalist I work with, Avani Diaz, they said dynamic pricing, we're going to allow it. Well, after that was one thing I'm happy we're fighting on, showing you something. I didn't do anything for the American fans, but I'm glad I helped Australia. After the documentary, the minister came right in after public outrage and said, we're going to ban dynamic ticketing.
So I know that's something that's getting spoken about here as well, because like you said, festivals, venues, musicians, and the independent scene, especially Scotland, if you want to start a cause that people believe in, Scotland's the place to back you. They're the biggest ones for fighting for rights and independence. And
I got to come out to Scotland then, 100%. And let's go. Right. Fly some of the Scots out here to America, help me battle.
Well, Scotland loves their independent scene. We've got such a great
from the history
musicians. So a lot of our pubs, live music venues, not stadiums, they try and avoid tickets. Like you buy on the door, so it's cash where possible, so it doesn't get seen. And slightly bigger venues still try and hold door tickets, or they'll go through different websites. But it's still the stadiums. Like it's the people you want to see. Like for instance, Luke Combs' tickets go on sale tomorrow in the UK. I know for a fact they're going to be over £100 for a nosebleed.
And that's before they work with as the FTC recently just sued them in the United States. That's before they actually work with the scalpers to triple dip in cost of you.
Oh.
Take your money the first time, take your money the second time, make it the third time.
So scalping tickets and resales is another thing that they're trying to fight here. Again, they can make it illegal because things happen, people can't make events. But what they've done with Ticketmaster is, I believe, not for all things, but you have to have your name on a ticket, and you can only resale through Ticketmaster or AEX or Livenation, and you can only resell for a percentage more. So it's only because they have an admin for the resale, and you can only resell for, I think it's say £20 more than face value, and that covers the admin price. But I could make an event, and I tried to sell my tickets, and I ended up losing money because it didn't cover the admin price. And I did kind of think to myself, how have I lost money? That this person, so I think my ticket cost £380. The person bought it for 420, and I only got 350 back. And I was like, how did I lose £70? Where did that go for an automated service? No one's had to sit there and change a name on anything. And it is, I do agree with you that how can this all work together, and how can it be separate, and how can so much money get taken for things that no one really seems to be doing anything for? Like if you had,
it's a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of control. And you were talking about the secondary market, right?
Yeah.
So to me, the secondary market, there's some scalpers that are ripping people off, but to me, it's like a bank robbery. Okay.
Yes.
And if you go in, the bank gets robbed. I feel as though that's what Live Nation's doing to everybody. Now, the guy that is the scalper, some of them should get prosecuted. They should. Some of them should be thrown in jail. But however, you know who they are? They're just at the bank robbery. At the bank robbery, they're just the guy that's holding the van door open. And then the real alleged criminals, Live Nation, are just getting away with the money and running it off and just getting away. But the guy, again, opening the van door, he should be prosecuted. But again, just remember, all he did was open the van door. That's how I see it.
So we've spoken there about like scalpers, the company themselves, and obviously DJs, promoters, artists. They all face challenges with ticketing. Like they don't benefit, as we've spoken about. So what would you advise people to try and navigate the system currently?
There's nothing they can do. Currently, in this day and age, if you want to go to a larger show, there's nothing you can do. You can go reach out to your government. That's why I encourage anybody in any country, as I said, reach out to your government. And if the government cares that you're being ripped off, the artists are being ripped off, the fans are being ripped off, mostly the fans being ripped off, they're the ones that suffer the most, or at least I care for the most with, and they want to change the scene, and they care about their people in your country, and they care about the people that buy tickets that can't afford their bills. I'm sure you deal with the same thing in the UK as we do it with in America. You know what? Put some action and do something. You know what I mean? And if not, and you don't care, that's your choice. But I say out here, like, look, people, I don't know anybody that the Live Nation CEO just recently came out and said ticket prices are too cheap. I don't know if you saw that. It's all over. He wants to raise them. I don't know. Out here, nobody can afford these tickets. The working class people can't afford it. Can they afford it out there in the UK at ticket raise?
No.
So if anybody wants a ticket, if the government wants to put action, you know what? It starts from grassroots. And I believe anything, it would be the fans coming out. They can't boycott the shows. They need to have their lives in society. But fans vote. I don't know how the voting works in the UK, but fans vote. And if fans were to come out and speak more openly, like as they try, but push it, and the government actually cares, the government will take action to help the fans if they care, and that's up to them. In the United States, I respect the government. I think they're doing their best to do so. Um, However, there's really nothing the fans can do except voice their opposition to how they're being ripped off every single day.
So if you could rewrite the rules of live entertainment tomorrow, what would be your first change?
Well, I would take it back to 2010 when the Live Nation and Ticketmaster merger got passed through just politics. There's bipartisan agreements in the United States. I don't know about the UK. It's very hard to get bipartisan stuff out here. There was the first time back then, there was major bipartisan to not let Live Nation and Ticketmaster merge. Even in the current time now, in the DOJ lawsuit in the US, I believe there's like 40 something states bipartisan
Right.
suing against them as well. So if you can take it back in time, Live Nation and Ticketmaster should never have been able to merge. I don't know if you know, but Live Nation, you know how they were created?
No?
They were spun off a company called Clear Channel. Now,
Okay.
Clear Channel, as unfortunately,
Mhm.
Clear Channel was shut down for being a monopoly, and that created Live Nation. So it seems like history is repeating itself because that's how Live Nation got spun off, and that's how Live Nation Ticketmaster got put together. And it's the same people, and they're not smart people. They're just gangsters in suits, but they run a smart little scheme, and they seem to have the power so far, and to just get away with their what I allege is just a simple racket. If you're from New Jersey, you asked about the mob. When you see a racket, you know a racket. I do, and this is just a racket.
So how can fans and say smaller promoters support your efforts to make the industry fair?
So on my side, they go to my website, TommyDjuiceEntertainment.com, spread my stuff through social media.
Mhm.
I have a hearing coming up soon,
Okay.
a major hearing. It's next week.
Okay.
I've been fighting Live Nation for 15 years.
Mhm.
And Live Nation has a strategy: delay, confuse, pressure. I've been talking about the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus being real by Live Nation attorneys, 2,000 of them, for 15 years. And I'm one of the longest cases against Live Nation. I am the longest case not on
Yes.
appeal. And in the United States, I'm me Googling, I can't find a case even longer than mine. But you know what? I've sued them. It's pretty simple. Tortious interference. They wiped me out, took
Mhm.
ruined my whole contract for 10 years, knocked me out in defamation. Not complex. But for 10 years, 15 years, all we're talking about is technicalities. If Santa Claus is real, if the Tooth Fairy is real. And you know what we haven't talked about? My case, my information I have, my evidence, and what they did to me. And I have 500 trial exhibits that Live Nation does not want the world to see. I have a hearing. It's October 17th, New Jersey Federal Court, Martin Luther King Boulevard at 11 a.m. Live Nation is now attempting to, through nothing in the summary judgment motion, just on the legal side, of any legal reason, eliminate 497 documents out of 500. Let me to proceed with 3 documents over 15 years. So this is what they've been doing. It's been working. And if anything to support, share my stuff on social, and share it on social and spread the word, and get me a jury trial. Because the information that I have, I believe is why, and I intend to prove a trial, why these ticket prices are ever increasing. And I may have fought 15 years and suffered, but I'm only one person. I'm
Yeah.
nothing. I'm just one person. How many fans across your country, America, the world, they suffer every day. And with kids paying for this, everybody's suffering. Everybody's suffering. So I believe my information is going to help lower ticket prices. And I believe my information could get Live Nation shut down. So if people want to, as Michael Rapino said, raise ticket prices, how do you think he would do going in a UK stadium and get up there on the stage and say, Hey, I'm Michael Rapino, CEO of Live Nation. Ticket prices are too cheap. Let's raise them up. What do you think the fans would do?
We all know what the fans would do.
You think they'd be happy?
No, no.
so so on that base, just being said, if you want lower ticket prices, I ask for your support. That's it. Just support and share on socials. And if people, it's the UK, so I'm not asking people to come to New Jersey federal court. Except Scotland, you guys said you're wild, so you know what I mean. I got a lot of MMA fighters coming up from out
Yeah,
there.
we do.
So they want to come to New Jersey federal court. Maybe they'll get something done. But yeah. So major court hearing next Friday on the 17th.
So you said you're close to a jury trial. Obviously, I don't know how much you can talk about, but how close are we talking? Obviously, it's been 15 years so far.
Well,
Could it be
I
another?
was supposed to have a trial. When we originally did depositions with this, we thought we'd have a trial within like 18 months.
Mhm.
So I can't tell you when I would get a jury trial because it's been 15 years. There's no statute of limitations in the United States for civil procedures. This hearing, though, I think it's a step closer. I did
Mhm.
have a jury trial last year at a
Okay.
firm trial date set
Mhm.
and was all set. I think it was March 5th off the top of my head. We had a trial date set. And then Live Nation wanted another mediation for the 15th time or 20th time just to delay it and delay it. You know what? My witnesses are getting older in my case. And, if they're not around, you don't even have a case,
Yeah.
So that's why I've come out public in the last year. Before that, I didn't say peep. I was very quiet for 14 years. You never heard of me.
Um. So what's next for you, both as the promoter and as fighting the industry for change? What's next? Does it just keep sort of fighting in the trenches with Live Nation, or do you have any other plans now that you've sort of spoken out the last year?
Well, my career is over.
Mhm.
I was wiped out and destroyed. So to me, this is about other people's careers. So that's why I'm continuing this fight. This is other careers, people that like myself that had a dream to create a club empire. I created it from nothing. I had no money, I had nothing. And I worked really, really hard. And over 15 years, built myself up to one of the top in the East Coast, one of the largest with a lot of success. I want other people to have that opportunities, other people's kids that have a dream be able to do it. I saw so many artists back in the day. There were so many of them. I want artists to be able to have an opportunity. And then most importantly, at the information like I've seen and just how the fans, and you see it every day, they're just all complaining. They're right. And they're just getting ripped off. And the company just running, I allege that's the legal scheme. It's just a simple racket. Um, my hopes are that that can change. Ticket prices can be lower. There can be a vibrant scene again. There can be artist development, as you're talking about. Your friends can then put shows on at places. Maybe my kids. I
Yeah.
want a kid that wants to get into the concert business. Maybe he can do it. Other people's kids. So this is, to me, it's just a way bigger issue than myself. This isn't about me anymore. That's why I continue it.
So the conversation I was having with friends recently, about the nightclubs and the club scene. It really, I don't know. You said obviously it's been wiped out by Live Nation, but I've just noticed there's less, even in the last, God, what, 10 years, 8 years I've been going out. I just feel like there's never clubs anymore. There's not
Yeah.
the
Do you want to
same
know
going
why?
out.
Really
Yeah.
simple. You have to pay $1,000 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody
Yeah.
was paying that back in 2010.
No.
$1,000 a ticket. Look at your festival costs up there. People are complaining about in the UK.
Yeah.
How much dispensable income do you have to go to the clubs?
Yeah. No,
And
100%.
there's not artist development. Before, with more independent promoters, guess what? They're promoting clubs because they
Yeah.
can build up higher. Now they get shut right down. So they either go right into Live Nation or they're out. The artists, they're performing where Live Nation tells them to. You just in my case, you even go tell Live Nation, you're an artist, I'm gonna perform here. Then no shows for you. It is in their place. So it kills the whole entire scene, kills the artists, kills the promoters, kills the DJs, and just gets passed on to the fans. So where the scene's dead, that's your answer. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think of like that. And I suppose I used to go to live music nights all the time in local venues and whatnot, and it just feels like it's not happening the same. And
Yeah,
I suppose,
there's no development. There's no unique parties. The promoters are wiped out
yeah, but I suppose
or
it is that as
fired or
well.
hired, like Michael Rapino does all the
Yeah,
time and did ever since he tried to do to me, and I wouldn't take their money.
I do
Um,
find it interesting, as you said, like you spend £1,000 for a ticket, you don't have money to then go to a club or go here or do this
do the
because
working class people do?
no,
No, there's only just small little high-end luxury places for Live Nation's CEO friends to go hang
yeah,
out at. The working class people can't go. And guess who went to the clubs? I did them for 15 years. The working class people. You'd have it all
mm,
different. You have people with a little money. You'd have people with that had a lot of money. It all mixed together, all different nationalities. Everybody came.
yeah,
Now you have to have that massive disposable income. They've literally created, they talk about class society between the rich
yeah,
and the poor. They've created a class society if you can actually go out for
yeah.
entertainment or if you can't.
Mhm.
Created by Live Nation and their CEO, Michael Rapino, and their scheme business where they just rip everybody off.
So imagine 5 years from now, you've had your lawsuit, entertainment's been reshaped. What, well, I understand fans would have a lower ticket price, but what would fans, artists, and promoters notice differently besides the ticket prices?
A lot about what you just talked about. Clubs being dead. Guess what? Clubs are going to start opening up again.
Mm-hmm.
Clubs are going to start packing out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, events I did, Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start happening because people are going to have, you're going to have creativity. These independent promoters, some of them don't even, none of them exist now. They get back in the scene, like me when I was younger. And there was a lot of them. Now they get back in the scene. They start promoting. They work, they hustle, they grind like I did. They put on a successful show. Now you have 10 of them, 20 of them, 1,000 of them. Guess what happens? They're getting stirring up the stuff through socials, through everything, you name it. They're getting people to come to their events. Now the clubs are packing up more. More clubs start opening when the other ones are packed and not just shutting. The artist. Now, the artists that you either go work for Live Nation and there's a few that make money. The rest of them, you're broke. As you see, most of them complain they have no
Yeah.
choice. I don't blame them. Again, it's better to take $100 than zero. It's not,
Yeah.
it's at least it's some money. You'll have artist development where you'll have so many different artists being created. There's so many major artists right now. You know, many like Beyonce's out there, Drake's, and you'll never see him. I won't see him. You won't see him. The fans won't see him because they
Yeah.
don't have an opportunity to be developed by these independent promoters. That's how artist development is created. That was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So with Live Nation Ticketmaster, if you shut the whole thing down and this were to split up into massive independent promoters, other ones will be created. There's people are smart. People can do things. And unless you have a mob run community that controls the whole thing, that allows
Mm-hmm.
nothing, which is it is now with Live Nation, that's why the scene's killed. You'll have a vibrant scene, you'll have lower ticket prices because you can pick and choose with again on the cost. And if it's a lower cost, you can put a lower price of your ticket. And who has better production too? Now you have no say. And that's what I envision the scene. I know it looks like a lot. It is but that's what my wish list would be. And if you did shut the whole thing down, I call for a complete shutdown of Live Nation. A break up a Live Nation Ticketmaster is great, but I don't even think it goes as far as enough at this time. The scene could revive itself again. History
Mm-hmm.
would repeat itself again with the scene. Go back in time, history repeats itself, but history will
Yes.
not repeat itself with one monopoly and one mob run community controlling it all. That gives no chance for independence.
So one thing you were talking about there, which rings quite true on our side of the water, especially Scotland, is independence, creativity of the scene. Like, there's a big talk of communities breaking down. Like, even since COVID, there's a big talk of socializing is different. And I do think that's a massive thing, is people you can't afford to socialize now. Going out to the pub or club or where venues, even alcohol price to keep the door open, it's through the roof. Like here, which I know New York, New Jersey, Miami, it'll be way more expensive. Like it's 10, £12 for a single drink, and it's not even a nice drink, it's a beer. So that's one thing that I really hope from everything you're doing, and hopefully what other people are doing, is getting communities back, getting people socializing, getting networking happening again. Like,
So needed.
so
It's
needed.
so needed. And it's basic economics.
Yeah.
If you take away the $1,000 for that ticket price, and
Just spend it elsewhere.
if you're spending the money at these bars and the pubs over there in Scotland, and you're
Mhm.
spending the money, I used to own nightclubs. Guess what happens when you sell more drinks? You get your
Drinks get
liquor
cheaper.
for cheap. You know, as a
Yeah.
club owner, you get your liquor cheaper. So you know what you're actually able to do? Lower your drink prices.
Mhm.
Right now, because of the lack amount of people that come out, because they have to spend all their money on a concert ticket, the bar owners have to raise the price. And they can't even get any cool talent to come in at an affordable price because Live Nation and Ticketmaster, Live Nation owns it all.
Even have money to afford paying these independent artists. They don't have the same, here's like $200, $500, come do a couple hours. Because, like you're saying, everything else is getting more expensive. So, outside of everything you're doing, the legal battles, what inspires you every day? What keeps you going? Obviously, you spoke about your kids, you spoke about trying to better things for other people, but what about yourself? What keeps you going?
What keeps me motivated and what keeps me going right now is exactly what I said to you. I'm so like my case is back from 2011.
Yeah.
I have information. Live Nation turned over a discovery. They've only gave me 5% of the discovery that I was entitled to, and I had to fight them for several years in court until we ran out of money and just gave up. Ordered they just look, they defied the United States Senate recently. They have a subpoena for them to turn over information. I don't think it's ever been done to this day, so they don't care. So it's been a long process, but what inspires me to keep fighting now, just going back to it again, is the information I've seen. So, sir, they accidentally turned over a lot of information to me. They put it together like spaghetti, but it got turned over. I've heard the document retention period from high level people in the United States is only 7 days now. So a lot of the stuff is just delete, hide. That's what they do. And I believe in the information that I have, no one else has.
Okay.
So that's why I continue this fight, because I feel that this could help, definitely, without a doubt, lower ticket prices, make a vibrant scene again, create artist development, create a scene for the promoters, let clubs open up again, let clubs pack again, and let people have opportunities. Let there be people like me, like my kid, maybe yours, or somebody else's, that wants to be able to do. Like on my walls, this stuff. I could have never, they can't do that now. You know what I mean? So that's what continues me my fight right now. Otherwise, again, I would have thrown the towel a long time ago. It's all about the future right now for other people and my kids too.
So I've got one last question for you, but before we get to that, where can people find you? Socials, websites, everything. Where can people get involved?
Yeah, so my website's TommyDJuiceEntertainment.com. You can look me up. I'm Tommy D on Facebook, Tommy D DE on Instagram. Google my name, Tommy Dorfman, Live vs. Live Nation, Juice Entertainment versus Live Nation. You'll find lots of socials. You'll find lots of articles and a lot of media. That's a lot of stuff out there where they can come out and support if they'd like to. It'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, it's definitely a brilliant cause, especially if you want to get more active, get seeing more things. So to finish things off, everyone I interview leaves an anonymous message for the next person. My last said, how do you balance being true to yourself and also conforming to what the creative industry wants? Which I really feel is a perfect question to fit the situation
What
that
do you
you're
mean
in.
being true to myself?
So being true to your I guess being true to you, like what you've done, you you were true to yourself. You've stuck to this battle for 15 years, whereas you could have just been acquired by Live Nation and taken I'm assuming a payout and that would have
Absolutely.
been it. So the question is, um, how do you find the balance internally from what you've done and be true to yourself compared to creativity and what the industry wants?
Well, I feel like people ask me, hey, why didn't you just let them acquire or hire you? They offered to fund 50% of my festival. I had a 10-year deal. We were projecting just $100 million on just a electric EDM side at the
Yeah.
side, just for one concert. I had 10 years of exclusive concert over 4 weeks with the largest state fair that had 500,000 attendees. And any promoter out there, I had a turnkey operation. When I had an Electric Daisy Carnival, Donnie back in the day said to you, this is just turnkey to me, the biggest. But you know what? I don't regret it whatsoever. And a lot of people look at me like I'm crazy, even friends and family. I said, I don't regret it whatsoever. I was brought up. My dad taught me at a young age, you know what? Do the right thing by people. I would have had to kick out two of my business partners that Live Nation demanded they be kicked out for me to continue my festival and not be wiped out. And then me to reap all that money reward. You know what? I don't break my word. That's how I work. I was trained, my dad passed away at a young age, but he taught me that I never break my word. And I had those words with those partners, and I would never go back in time, even though, a lot of struggles I've gone through in life in those 15 years. It hasn't been easy, but it's hard on fans every day. I wouldn't go back and do anything differently. I would have never took their money, even going for where I am at now. Um, and I would have continued fighting and do the right thing and not screw people over. They screw fans over every day. They rip everybody off every day. And you know what? That's not people I want to work with. I worked with in the nightclub scene. I worked with the mafia. Not I wasn't part of the mafia, but they owned the clubs. They let me do business, and they didn't rip people off like this. This is what Live Nation does. So, and you know what? Seeing their CEO recently, um, after having the Department of Justice suing you, the Federal Trade Commission suing you. Now you got stuff in the UK trying to happen. And you are so out of touch with society. You're on Mars in such an ego and in such pure power that you feel you can come out and say at that point in time, ticket prices are too cheap. Let's raise them. You know what? That goes directly into the fans paying more money. So you know what I'm standing for then? It shows me I'm standing up against, I believe, the evil empire. And I feel like, I'm standing on the right side of justice, the right side of a cause. Whatever the outcome may be, I'll never regret it because I put it all in for what I believe and which I know is right. So I have no regrets. And end of the day, I know I'm doing the right thing, and I wouldn't go back in day. And it'd be so easy to go back in time and stuff my big money bag of pockets and me have the $50 million and 50% of a thing instead of scrapping door to door to pay for litigation for 15 years. But you know what? It's you never. I wouldn't do. It's wrong. So what I did was right, and I would go back in time and do what's right.
I really respect that.
And what
So,
Rapino recently just said, it
mhm,
inspires me more to continue fighting. Because
imagine.
look at it. I don't know any much of U.S., but if you know any big mobsters, John Gotti back in the
Mhm,
day, he was
mhm,
Teflon Don. I'm from New Jersey.
yeah.
My people are. This dude would have never got it. He loved the price. He would have never got on TV and said, "Let's raise ticket prices," facing his charges. That just shows pure power. So I know I'm on the right side.
So, what I ask you is, what message or question would you like to leave the next person? It could be absolutely anything.
In the entertainment industry,
It could be anyone. It's totally anonymous.
what question I'd like to ask the next person? Do you want your ticket prices to be raised up by Live Nation? If you do, go to Hollywood, go to Michael Rapino's big mansion, go to a concert, spend another instead of 1,000, let's make it 1,500. Buy him some more yachts. Or do you want lower ticket prices? And if you do, you know what? The question would be, who do you want to support? Me or Live Nation?
It's a perfect question to end it off. Thank you so much for this.
No, I appreciate you having me on, and I hope things go better in the UK there too. as your fans don't deserve to get ripped off, and you deserve a vibrant scene as well.
Thanks so much.
Go
Obviously,
Scotland.
yeah. So, Tommy D, Juicy Entertainment, that is the place to go to find out more.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me on. I much appreciate it.